What's up, everyone? It's Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. I just wanted to talk to you today about eccentric versus concentric training and lifting. This isn't a ton of weight right here, but I think it shows a good example of the eccentric and concentric portion of the lifting. So the eccentric is going to be the going down, concentric is going up. There's a brief isometric at the base there. So if you watch, there's the U curve there, basically, where you go down, pause, and then back up. So I just thought that this was a pretty good example of it, and I wanted to put this in right here. So I ran into a discussion on social media the other day where they were talking about, someone was postulating that eccentric lifting was the most important part of the lift. In fact, they didn't hold that there was a lot of value with the concentric part of the lift. And I can understand where they're coming from with that. So first of all, explanation of what eccentric and concentric is. So eccentric would be the lowering part of a lift, whereas concentric would be the lifting part, the more of the pressing part. So if you think about it, like with a squat, you're gonna start with the eccentric portion of the lift. Okay, so you're gonna squat down. You're gonna have that brief isometric hold at the bottom. There's gonna be a curve here, so you're gonna go down into the lift, have that brief stop at the bottom, and then back up. You're gonna come up out of the lift. Same with bench. Bench, you're gonna take the bar, you're gonna lower it down to your chest, and then you're gonna press out of it. So it's gonna be eccentric followed by concentric. And so some of the benefits of the eccentric lift and why I think they're approaching it from this direction is with the eccentric, you can overload much more easily. Gravity's helping you along the way. And so it's really easy to put more weight on than you can actually hold and then just act as a brake. So you're just slowing the weight's descent. So it's really easy to overload the muscles in this way. And for that reason, if you hit a plateau or something like that, eccentric lifting can really help you push through that plateau. So if you think about it, eccentric lifting, every movement has both parts. Every movement has a concentric and an eccentric part of the movement. A lot of times when people are trying to start to do pull-ups or something like that, or push-ups, if they're not able to do push-ups, then I'll tell them, go to the top of the movement and slowly let yourself down. Try and do like a 4 count, where you're just slowly letting your weight down. You're trying to reduce the speed. You're trying to slow it. You're not trying to actually stop it necessarily. And that can be extremely beneficial for increasing strength. For functional purposes, it's not quite as beneficial. If you look at any professional athletes, any of the world's strongest men, powerlifters, anything like that, none of them do eccentric only lifting. You need to work both. So both forms are going to hit the muscles differently, and I think eccentric it can be a great tool for pushing through a plateau, for increasing your strength. Now the downsides of that, I think with eccentric lifting, it's very easy to overtrain with it, to overload, because that's how it's designed. If you're only doing eccentric lifting, so if you're stuck at a plateau with your bench, then you can get a couple buddies and you can do a bunch of eccentric sets where you overload it. So if your max bench is 250, you can put 280 on it or something, and you can just do repeated eccentric lifts. So you lower the weight down slowly, and then at the bottom your friends help you bring it back up, and then same thing, you just slowly let it down. And that's a great way to break through a plateau. The downside with that is it's extremely easy to overtrain. You're at a much higher risk of tearing something because you can overload the muscle so much more easily that way. So there's pros and cons to both, and I think you need to have a balance of both. I think, yes, eccentric training has its place, just like concentric only training has its place. If you're trying to work with a more ballistic, you're trying to increase the explosive force of a movement, then you're going to want to work more on the concentric side of it. And so with both of those, they have their purpose, and they both have their place. And I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I think they're different. And just like with training through the full range of motion, you want to work on your mobility and stability and strength and everything throughout the entire range of motion, both on the eccentric and concentric, because functionally in life, we don't work in a limited range. We don't as humans, we don't function in an eccentric only pattern. We work with both, and so I think it's important to train both. So I just wanted to put some thoughts up on that, and that's about all I had to say with that. But anyways, so that's all for today. This is Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness, and just remember to always improve that 1%.